So, what should today's video be about? We've already covered this, we've definitely covered that. Don't tell me we're officially out of ideas. Oh no, not you. Please, no, anything but that. Fine. Today, let's talk about Sane. The black sheep of Essentia, if you will. The ugly duckling. The game that we try to pretend doesn't exist. I mean, I'm exaggerating, of course, but yeah, this is the story of Sane. It all started when we caught wind of a big game jam that was in the works, with lots of participants and lots of possible goodies to win. And since we were looking to get our hands dirty, and of course improve our skills, we thought it'd be a good idea to participate. And like every jam game we've ever made, Sane began the same way as most of our projects. A lot of disagreement. We went back and forth, arguing about what the game should be. It took hours, but eventually, as always, one idea won out. The jam was called Scream Jam, and so the theme was horror. Technically, the rules say we can make whatever type of game we want, but yeah, something spooky was definitely encouraged. And when you think of a horror game in a jam context, two things immediately come to mind. It was either a walking simulator or a point-and-click adventure. Walking sim? Nah, not for us. We didn't have the 3D chops to pull it off in just a few days, so we settled on the other option, a point-and-click in pixel art. Yes, it's overdone, yes, it's predictable, but we needed something that we could actually make. And after the grueling brainstorming session, the setting was locked in, a mental hospital. You will play as a nameless character, trapped inside this asylum. Your objective is simple on the surface. You have to meet strange characters, solve puzzles, and ultimately make your escape. At first, the game was titled You Are Sane, because the idea was that everyone in the hospital thinks you're insane, but you know you're not, and that is your motivation for escaping. But after a while, we decided to drop the You Are, and we kept it just Sane. It's shorter, cooler, and easier to say. The game was divided into two distinct parts. In the beginning, you have the bed gameplay, and in the second is the exploration gameplay. The bed section was basically our own little spin on Five Nights at Freddy's. So the gameplay is kind of like this. You just press space to open your eyes, look for the doctor and you click on him, press space again to close your eyes, and you basically repeat it until it's gone. And only then you can get up from bed. The idea was that you basically have to sneak a peek to see if the doctor was still around and try to spot him, and then keep pretending to be asleep, rinsing and repeating until he leaves you alone. It's simple, at least in theory. But in practice, nobody got it. For most players did not fully understand the mechanic and kept dying to the doctor over and over again, which led to frustration. So we needed to clearly convey it in a way that every player would understand. And honestly, that's on us. If a player doesn't understand the mechanic, that's clearly a design flaw. So even though it was a bad thing, we did learn something important from it. Clarity matters way more than we thought. Pause. Now, even though we know that there's like a good chunk of players that won't finish the game on their own, but we still like to encourage you to go ahead and play it anyway. Maybe you will have some fun figuring out the puzzles, because the rest of the video is going to spoil that for you. And of course, if you struggle, you can always come back to the video. Anyway, once you manage to leave the bed, you enter the exploration phase. Now, technically, it is kind of a point-and-click game, but in reality, instead of pointing and clicking, you just move with WASD and interact with the E button. The map itself was pretty simple. It has your room, a set of corridors with different doors, and at the end of it all, the Mad Doctor's office. And here's where things get insane. We replaced the locks and keys system with another mechanic. Pills. At the start of the game, you find a bottle of pills on your overbed table. You can either swallow one of them, or if you don't want their effect, you can just puke them. Yep, you heard that right. We made a puke button. So here's how it works. Spoiler alert, by the way. When you're off the pills, you're able to enter the red doors. And when you pop a pill, you'll be able to enter the blue doors. Puking will just take you off the pills. It sounds clever on paper, But again, no one figured it out on their own, and because of the time limit of the game jam, it wasn't really easy to add clues to guide the players. Now, behind the locked doors, you'll meet different characters. Two stands out the most, because they're the only ones. The Fire Goddess and the Guard. Both the characters and the pill mechanics are tied to the lore of the main character, but we left them open to interpretation, because we wanted the players to come up with their own theories. Now, let's talk about the items. Oh boy, the items. They are supposed to help you progress and solve the puzzles, but implementing them resulted in many funny bugs. So what actually happened? Well, sometimes an item wouldn't appear at all, sometimes picking up one item gave you a different one, sometimes items spawn twice and they just keep spawning. Yeah, that's jam game quality, alright. And just when you thought that you were actually free to roam the halls of the asylum, surprise! The doctor comes back and he's here to check if you are still in bed. If you're not, well, you'd better run and head back to bed, or you're done for. I mean, the reason was we spent so much time working on the bed mechanic that we decided to milk it as much as possible. If you make it far enough, you'll eventually find other items like booze. You can use it to get a code from the guard and unlock a safe with a gun inside. And from there, you can get 3 possible endings. Ending 1, self-destruction. If you were curious, as soon as you get the gun and try to use it, you actually use the gun on yourself, which is basically taking the easy way out. Ending 2, the failed escape. This one is a little misleading, honestly. You take the gun and book it to the doctor's office, waiting to ambush him as soon as he leaves his office, but it doesn't end well. The good ending, the revenge, you get the gun, return to bed, and you wait for the doctor to appear. And then you shoot him when he least expects it, getting rid of him and making your grand escape. Now, even though there were many challenges, bugs, and flaws in design, this game jam was still a valuable experience, and we learned many things from it. We learned about clarity in design, we also learned firsthand how players think differently from developers, and the most important thing is to actually learn how to finish something, even when it feels impossible. And honestly, some of the late night Discord calls during developments are unforgettable. I still remember when we had about 1 hour left until submission, and I, as a 2D artist by the way, had to do the debugging for many things, and then add more elements inside the game engine. Because the coders had issues with their internet, and since I was the one with the fastest internet, I was the one who had to submit our entry, which basically created one of the most chaotic experiences in my short time as a developer. So maybe deep down, we don't really hate it as much as we do. Maybe it's part of who we are as developers. And that's the story of Sane. A messy little game jam, but a big part of our journey as developers. So if you want to try it yourself, the link is in the description. And of course, we wanted to give a huge shout out to Pete Hawkey for his amazing work on the sound design. He was the one responsible for setting the eerie vibe that we wanted to create, and he absolutely nailed it. So make sure you also check out his socials and give him some love. And that's it for today's video. Please make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all for watching, and of course, before I forget, it's
our game, your soul.